Thank you very much, Sanjay, for having me. Alex, thank you. Great to see you both. And thank you all to listen to what I've just been fortunate to listen to about all of the youngsters and the young entrepreneurs. And I always wish to say that the next generation is going to keep us in good hands. And I think that's a very fortunate to have them, for me to be able to listen to each and every one of you. Um, my my start in life was a completely different form of life. I was unhealthy growing up as a child. I'll give it to you in about 30 seconds to a minute. I was unhealthy growing up as a child and eventually was in hospital, spent a lot of time in and out of hospital. Had IV in me. My mother would go sit in school and take notes and come and teach me in the hospital. It was one of those things where she didn't want me to be left behind. And eventually, the doctor suggested that I play an outdoor sport to be able to get healthy again, to be able to go to school like a normal person and enjoy what kids would enjoy. And it still didn't work out that great. But at the end of the day, I couldn't run 50 yards, 100 yards, and so on and so forth. Eventually, my mother got me to do it at 5 o'clock in the morning, drove the car by the side of me, eventually running 100 yards, 200 yards, half a mile, and eventually 5, 6, 7, 8 miles at 5 o'clock in the morning. I think the important aspect of what my parents were to me at an early age has kind of stuck with me my entire life. And I've always said, and you might have, if you Google it, you'll see it in 10 different places, 100 different places, that these were two ordinary people, my parents, who ended up doing extraordinary things with my life. And I've always said that anyone in my position at the time would, parents like this, would just could not have had a reasonable amount of success. I think the fortunate aspect of that was the fact that they stayed with me through the entire journey. The entire journey, they were my pillars, they were my support, they were the shoulders that I was always able to stand on at a time of emotional downturn, physical downturn, any issues that came up by way of bad losses. We celebrated good wins. I've had both. Seeing the ups and downs in sport is very genuine. It's very clear. There's great clarity to when you play sport because you play well, you win, you play badly, you lose, especially in an individual sport. In team competitions, 11 players are on the field playing soccer. We just witnessed the FIFA World Cup, and you see that. One guy can be pulled out, the other guy comes in, 20 minutes. But in tennis, you stay with it. If you have problems on the court, you're the only one who has to fix it. It's very difficult for anyone else to help you, even though they may be sitting far away in a box. So these things teaches you one very, very important aspect. The most important aspect of this journey of mine in tennis, I was on tour for 22 years, was it taught me about myself. It taught me exactly what was impossible and why that impossible became possible. And that's the lesson I think we all learn from life. Every time in today's life, I'm been around for a long, long time. I faced ups and downs, but every time I hit a roadblock, every time it's for me, a roadblock has always become a speed bump. You're going to cross it. And I think when you look at challenges, I look at challenge, as the great Billie Jean King said, every challenge is an opportunity. And pressure is a privilege. I was just fortunate to have that pressure over sport playing for a large country. And so when a billion people want you to win so badly, there is that incredible amount of pressure that you feel. That is the adrenaline and the focus that makes you reach for more than the skies. I always felt that if I played 70% of my game, my fellow Indians would take me the other 30%. So and it's happened time and time again in my sport, and with great amount of clarity, as I've said. So it has taught me how to actually lead my life thereafter tennis. My tennis career was late 30s. By 40, I had to be doing something else. I ended up in television. Again, something I had never done before. Never done before. And now all of a sudden, you're in front of millions of people, and you must know when to talk. You must know when the commercial break is. You know there's someone else talking in your ear. You know there's a compatriot with you you're discussing things with. You know you're going to take a break. And you also know that there are audiences who want to watch you, and then there are audiences who don't want to watch you. How do you keep the audiences who want to watch you and engage with them? Because they understand the game. And then there may be two others in the same household who are not interested. They'd rather go shopping. Now, how do I bring those two people into the fold to sit on the couch and watch this great match? Now, of course, television is a visual, so you don't have to talk all the time. You have to understand that the audience wants to watch. They don't want to constantly listen to you also. So you get in and out at particular times. So 27 years of television taught me every nook and corner, nook and cranny, when the satellite goes down, when something falls off the electronic scoreboard, the fact that players take a break, and the producer sometimes tells you in a year, Vij, fill for 20 minutes. Fill for 20 minutes live on TV in front of millions of people with nothing to talk about? That's not easy. So I think these kinds of things put challenges up front and center for me, which became an opportunity. And to me, that was the learning curve. In everything that I did, that was the learning curve. I was very fortunate to serve the United Nations for nearly 7 years as a messenger of peace for the late Kofi Annan, who was Secretary General. I served alongside the great Muhammad Ali, Luciano Pavarotti, Elie Wiesel, the Nobel laureate, Michael Douglas, the actor. And I went to places I never dreamt I would get to. Tennis tournaments were in great big cities, from Sydney to Tokyo to Tashkent to Bombay to Boston to Casablanca, all over the world in great big cities. But you went to smaller towns that were hit. The first visit for me as a messenger of peace was when the earthquake hit Gujarat in the city of Bhuj. And I was there on the ground 48 hours after it actually happened. And to see what these incredible UNICEF volunteers were doing with a cell phone and a bottle of water, rebuilding those people's lives, who are the lives that have been gone, and the families that have lost these lives all of a sudden. It was another new venture for me in my head to understand how important it was to be able to do service to others and what a difference it made. And I think that went on to become a part of my life. I was very fortunate that I did other things. I was in movies, I was in television, I was on talk shows. I did a lot of charity work. I attended and raised money for a variety of causes, for a variety of reasons. And the most important part of it was people that you meet along the way. And each of them touch you in a spiritual way, drives up your adrenaline, inspires you, and the person can be famous, and he doesn't have to be famous. But sometimes things stay in your head. And the great Muhammad Ali said this right when he said, the service you do for others on earth is the rent you pay for a room in heaven. I think when you hear something like that, it automatically stays in your head. And you try to live by it to some extent. People ask me today, what do you like to do? You've done this, you've done this, you've done this, you've done this. What would you like to do? I said, well, I like to wake up every morning and hope I can put a smile on the face of someone I don't know. It's not easy. But let it be a focus. In work, as it is in life. People who are married, they may have issues. People with parents, grandparents, grandchildren. Things go haywire often. When does it become a true challenge? That challenge becomes only a speed bump. So you can actually get over it. The reason it's a challenge is because it's actually an opportunity. It teaches you to get better. And that's what the game of tennis brought to me, television brought to me, especially live television. Oh, movies, you can do a scene and do it again. Oh, I didn't like it, so I'll do it again. Oh, I'll do it again. But at the end of the day, the performance has to be a collective effort. Here, when you meet people, when they impress upon you and they inspire you, it stays with you through your entire life. We have fights constantly. We have fights with coworkers. We have fights with teammates. You have fights with your spouses. You have fights with parents, grandparents. You fight with, it can be, start with a small disagreement. How do you overcome it? And then it ends up being a part of your inner being. I was very fortunate during one of our United Nations lunches during the General Assembly to meet with the great late Nelson Mandela after he had become president. And the one thing that he mentioned, which was just mind-boggling again, was the fact that I said, how could you possibly be in a cell for 27 years, in a cell about that big? I could put my hands in. I went to Cape Town. I went to Robben Island. I went to where he was, and I stood in there, and I thought to myself, how is this possible that the man could come out and then forgive the people who put him there? And he put his arm around and he said, forgiveness is not for the forgiven. It is for the forgiver. So it releases you of what is in your inner self. There are a lot of things we learn, we think we cannot learn because it's not in your wheelhouse, whether it's tech, whether it's AI, whatever it might be. But in life, it should teach you to be a better self. The success comes from not beating the next guy alone. The success comes from making you, yourself, a better person tomorrow. How do we work on that? It's all of these things that comes in life's journey. The people that you meet along the way, everyone teaches you something. The guy who ran the elevator, the guy who ran the bar, the guy who ran a restaurant, the guy who ran a company, the presidents, prime ministers, everyone that I've been very fortunate to have met, have always had left me with one lasting impression of a kind. And I hope that I can retain that. And a lot of it I write down so I can actually try to assimilate and understand it, and at the same time, see how it can benefit me. And it generally does. And I think that's what life's journey is all about. I can go on and on with numerous analogies and examples and so on and so forth. But the clarity that my sport gave to me about life is what an analogy for me is the analogy in any walk of life that each one of you may have. Whatever you develop, whatever you end up being successful in, and each and every one of you, the smartest there is no getting away from it. You're going to raise money, you're going to build companies, you're going to do things that are unique for the next generation to come. Absolutely. But learn from it as a life's journey also. Learn from it to make you a better person with whoever you live with, whoever you're working with, that you make a difference to the person you're able to touch. So that would be my strong recommendation, my strong belief. Have that belief in yourself. I talk about the 5 Ds, which are the most important parts of success. The first, of course, is desire. If you don't have the desire to do something, please don't do it. the second 3 go together. It's the determination, the discipline, and the dedication. All 3 of them need to be there for you to consistently, with hard work. We always say that the harder you work, the luckier you get. And I think that's where it started in my home, as my mother put the saying in front of my bed when we woke up every morning, from Henry Wadsworth Longfellow, who said, heights by great men reached and kept were not attained by sudden flight, for they, while their companions slept, were toiling upwards in the night. So keep little things like that in mind, and make sure that you have the 5 Ds in your head: the discipline, the dedication, the determination, and starting with the desire. And when you've done these four, which are in your wheelhouse, it is something that you can do, then the fifth is out of our hands. It's divine intervention. It has to fall our way. In a lead court in a tennis match, the ball hits the top of the net. If it falls that way, you win. If it falls this way, you lose. So you need that little, you want to call it luck, we can call it luck. I call it divine intervention. Goes the other way. People said to me many times, oh, you didn't win Wimbledon. Are you disappointed? I said, well, that's always looking at the cup half empty. I look at the cup half full. The rest of my life, I've been blessed. So I think when I look back at life's journey, it continues to teach me on a daily basis. And to this day, I try to be someone better tomorrow than I was today. Let me leave you with that thought.